See, there's a little wobble in it right here, but we're not going to worry about that too much. Now, some people go all the way around the top of their bowl. What I do basically is just make a little coil like this and then put the exact pressure on both sides. Let it go down a little bit. Do the same thing on the opposite. And it's always good to look, get some kind of an idea. Like I left this one really thick at the bottom. So you can look about like that. And then same thing in the side and then the bottom. I'll take my finger a little bit and see if there's not a lot of give. That way you'll kind of have an idea of how deep to go down or what kind of a finish you want. So a lot of people start to inside and work their way out to level it. This is pretty level because of the way I got it off the bat. You just start peeling it off. Plus you can also form the shape of the outside a lot of times. So you want it like bubbled out more, you can trim a lot of it off depending on how much you've left. Usually I found when I throw like wider mouth things, I leave a little bit more on the bottom because they'll tend to slump more. Anybody that throws a lot of pots will tell you this is the most boring part and time consuming. That's why a lot of production potters don't even put foot rings on there. It's just gone, gone, next. So I'll try to clean the base up a little bit. Now basically all that I do, except like for coffee cups or teacups, I'll make a regular foot ring. But for stuff like this, as long as it's kind of level, I just like take a little bit out of the bottom like that. Kind of wobbly. And that's all I'm doing to it. Then you can come in here and kind of do something like this to it. You know, you want to keep a little, like a groove down at the bottom. And get some of the excess off. That way you can always tell, like, Jesus, it's still heavy. You can take it off the bat. Well, that's a little heavy still. You know what I'm saying? Where if you have it on the wheel head, you pull it off, it might still be heavy. Then you got to go through the whole rigmarole of centering it again. And a lot of times if you got a little wobble or something, you can trim that out. Usually what I'll do, like say this is really wobbly, I'll go a little higher speed. And then just mess with it like that. So then you can see like how other people do it. I bought these at Hobby Lobby. So basically all I do is put an R in there and a B, that's my initials. Other people have stamps. Like Chris has the ink stamp, Steve and some people. You make your own stamps too. I'll show you that. You can make a lot of weird things. And so this is a little rough, so I'll just take my sponge, dry it out a little bit. And just go over and you won't be able to see any trimming marks. So that's basically trimming 101.
Are you using your second hand to steady your work hand, or are you using it
Actually, it's almost like throwing. I'll use, you mean, what are you talking about? My right hand, my trimming hand?
You've got that hand, and then you've got your other hand on the pot as well as your hand. So
more like balance.
Okay.
More like balance because it's almost like throwing. I'll use my forearm on my thigh. So it's basically like that. I'll just kind of, you know, use that as a guide.
Okay.
But, and then the end. Hopefully. But yeah, I mean, you can tell this is still a little thick down there, so I can put it back on. And so, but I have noticed, and some of mine too. I mean, I'm not the only one that has, or we're not the only people that have thick ones. I mean, see, I left this one real thick, so that'll take a lot of trimming to do. So we'll do a quick throwing thing here. Wedge your clay real well. I make different shapes depending on what I'm thinking, but usually it's basically like a squash down rugby ball, like an overinflated football. But make sure you wedge your clay good, because I bought this clay yesterday at Rovin's. It's a Betcha mix. It's the same clay you guys use, and I had a couple air bubbles in it already. So I mean, no one's infallible, but. And then when we start recycling clay, make sure you really wedge it well, because sometimes you'll find a little hard piece in it or whatever. So.
Or chamois or a sponge.
Well,
Or Band-Aids, not yours.
you never had any fun until you stuck a pin tool in like your finger, like about that far, like when you're. But accidents happen. So.
Never thought of that one.
So just wedge it out, and then I kind of form a rough shape. I notice a lot of you guys will throw, when you're throwing, you use these. God, I can't get my hands all in there to get them wet. So I always use a larger bucket. Plus I'm messy. And I'm too lazy to keep cleaning those out. So you try to find like center as close as you can, give it a good shot. Make sure that your bats are kind of dry. So I go down first, try to get the main center. A lot of people do it differently. Dina goes up and down a lot. If you ever watch her throw when she's in here, she'll take it up, take it back down. Try to get some of that excess off. Nice cleanse. And keep your wheel head kind of free, because that way you can see a little bit better if it's starting to center up. Now most of you guys right-handed, anybody left-handed? Okay. That's always going to be your strong hand, so I have to almost compensate like sideways. I even set my stool a little off-centered. So we're not going to mess with that too long. So what I'll do, I'll take my finger, kind of get it centered. Take your thumb, push her down. Yeah, I just hit an air bubble, I can feel it. And then get kind of an idea of how far you're down there. So I take my middle finger and then I start pulling out. Boy, I got a wobbly something here. My bat.
Yeah, your bat's worked.
But there might be some dry clay or something.
Are you sure your bat isn't worked?
Yeah, you're probably right.
You know, if your bat's worked, it's always better to have it hump up rather than like Rainey's got it.
Yeah, exactly.
So if it's warped, turn it the opposite way, so it humps up rather than down in the center.
Yeah, I can feel it when I put pressure on it. But. So that's basically about how far I want to go. So I'll take my pin tool or needle tool, put it in the bottom and kind of come down about like that.
Did you already get rid of the air bubble with it?
Yeah, one of them. I think there's like 2 or 3. So then I go back in there and compress a little bit more. And then when I widen it out, I can compress it more. That'll keep you from getting. I notice you Betcha mix. If you really don't compress the top and the bottom, you'll start getting cracks. I've been getting a lot of cracks. So then I'm going to take it out a little bit further. Whoops. Now, a lot of people do a cylinder right off the bat, and then you can do a million things with a cylinder, but I try to like shape it the first time, get an idea of the kind of shape I'm going for. Then I start taking it off. Kind of like a semi-cylinder. There's an air bubble right there. So those are easy to get rid of when they're up at the top. Excuse me, just take your pin tool, get rid of it. Yeah, try not to overwork your clay too much. I'm sorry. Try not to overwork it too much. I notice you guys will keep like the same clay on the wheel head for like an hour. And it tends to get too floppy after a while. So press the bottom a little bit more. What were you saying now?
I said, you said just turn off the top. I said, yeah, just like that.
Well, I mean, the more you do it, it's like, you know, it's as long as you have like a guide, which is good, like I said, your thigh, it's good to like trim it off that way. So basically, I'm going to pull this out a little bit. A little wobble.
Wave the bat.
Take it up. Yeah, the bat.
You're not the operator.
Pi sold me that bat. It was $20, and it was warped.
I'm sure she's got 5 or 6 more.
I
she'll
picked it out
sell
special.
So then you
She
go back
saved
in
that
here
one.
and start compressing the top a little bit, you know, to get the rim. Because if you don't, honest, it will start separating through the base a little bit. And I still got quite a bit on the sides here. And what you can do too, save you a little bit of extra trimming, take some of that off. There's a bunch of different kinds of, you know, you've seen these. I mean, there's big ones, little ones, thin ones where you can get in there more. So I'm not going to mess with it too much. Yeah, try not to overwork your clay. Keep the area, you know, keep your hands clean, keep your tools clean. And then we'll see how thick we went down here. Should be fairly thick at the bottom. Let go. Yeah, you see that's fairly thick. So you could either do like a foot ring on that, or you can just shave that off more. So I don't know if you guys can see it, but
I'm a proponent when you're learning how to throw, it's best to trim.
Yeah.
Don't, and trim a foot. Don't think
exactly.
you're just going to pull it. You're years away from that.
Yeah, and she's right about that 100%. It's, you know, it's time consuming, but the effect in the long run will be better.
So your advice, your top piece of advice for learning how to throw, Rainey.
Don't overwork the clay.
Okay.
You know, just, you can always, okay, that's getting too soggy. Okay. Put that off to the side, put another bat on, start on another piece of clay. You know, wedge good. Sometimes it's hard. I mean, there's times when I try to throw bigger pieces. I come in and I'm like tired, and it's hard to even center the clay. But you know, it's know your limitations. You know, right now. But
Better to throw well small rather than big shit.
exactly.
I have a question about the trimming. How do you keep it from, in the middle of your trimming, lifting up off the bat, even if you've got it clay all around it?
Well, things will happen. I mean, if it's too dry, sometimes you'll hit a pocket and it'll pull it off the bat. There's really not a whole lot you can do. Just try to make sure it's centered well. Sometimes I've done it too, and like the clay I use to for the rim will dry out if I trim it with a bunch of clay and it, you know, stuff, and it just dries out from the atmosphere. So I'll just get another piece, a more pliable piece, and put back on. And then like this, okay, Now, I did this when it was raw clay, so how am I gonna put it on the bat to trim? So a lot of people, like I told you, have those sponge things. But basically all I do is use a towel and throw it on the bat. I would make a nicer fold and try to center it as good as I can. And then trim it that way. So, because otherwise, you can tell that's higher than the other. Yeah, basically that's it. Just try not to overwork your clay. Get it good and centered. And experiment a little bit. Go through the bottom if you have to. Go through the wall when you're trimming. I mean, I know that sounds terrible now, but it's good practice. Like, oh geez, I trimmed too much. And usually I found when you think you've trimmed enough, you can still go further. Especially you guys. Especially the friends. Well, I mean, I'm not perfect, but I'm saying when I was younger, it was like Jesus. Everything was like a doorstop, And you can tell when you get the bisque out and it's blowing out of the sides, right at the bottoms of the sides. But yeah, just keep trimming.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome,
Okay,
guys.
thank you, Rainey.
Grab a donut.